So what are the 4 common mistakes that people make in rent roll contracts? So probably the first one is using a standard business sale contract for a rent roll. So the RAIQ in Queensland has the standard terms for a business sale. They're not suitable for a rent roll contract. There are too many nuances and specific things that are necessary for a rent roll contract. So don't use that. And if you do use that, it needs to have very detailed special conditions, something that we've worked on previously. But you really need a specialist contract because you need to deal with the different elements of a rent roll to make sure that it's being bought correctly. So that's the first mistake is just using a standard contract. The second one is if you're using a specialist contract, it's not understanding all of the clauses and not properly defining all of the terms of the contract. Again, these are very specialized contracts. We have one that's was developed over years and years and years of doing these transactions and making sure that it's really watertight and covers all of the things. So there's lots of different elements to the contract, so you need to make sure that you've read it and that all the terms are included. The third one is really comes back to one of the most important parts that I've talked about before, and that's retention. So the retention is basically where if you're buying a rent roll, usually 20% of the purchase price is held in a solicitor's trust account, and if you lose properties through no fault of your own, then you get that money back, so you don't have to pay the seller for properties that you've lost, because naturally people move on from a rent roll from time to time. Not properly defining the parameters around that are really important, so you need to make sure that that's done correctly. And the fourth mistake that I see is not actually having a properly enforceable restraint of trade. So a restraint of trade is a really important element here, because you want to make sure that buyers don't buy a business and then the seller take properties or sell properties. And I've seen this just even recently with a client who we didn't act for in the transaction, but we found out subsequent that they bought a rent roll. They didn't have a restraint of trade, and then the seller started selling properties off the rent roll. So not only did they sell the rent roll and the management rights to the buyer, they also then went and sold those properties from underneath the buyer, and the buyer wasn't allowed to had no recourse because they didn't have any restraint of trade in the contract. So you've got to make sure that these things are covered, because there's different people. You might think they're your friend, they might think that you're doing the right thing, and that can actually backfire on you. So get advice about the contract, make sure that all the required parts are dealt with, and that'll protect you going forward. If you've got any questions about that, comment below or get in contact. We'd love to help you out. Have an awesome day. Bye.